It was an ordinary afternoon on the streets of New York. It was a light rain, but people were lined up in front of the Deli. It was one of the oldest places in Manhattan. Manny's Deli, famous for its 60s posters on the walls, its doormat that hadn't changed in years, and its legendary pistachio cheesecake. Inside, old people were playing dominoes, young people were waiting in line looking at their phones. A big man walked through the door. He was wearing a navy blue coat and a red baseball cap. A few people turned to look, but no one was sure, until someone whispered, Is this really Donald Trump?" A cool breeze blew in as the door closed. Trump adjusted his hat slightly, put his hands in his pockets, and got in line. When it was his turn, the young man behind the counter opened his eyes wide. "Mr. President?" Trump smiled. "I'm just a hungry man today. Hot turkey, rye bread, no pickles, and creamy mustard. It hasn't changed since I was a kid." The crowd was silent for a few seconds. Then a woman's voice was heard. "No way, that's really him." Trump turned to look at the crowd. "Calm down, people, I'm just hungry. Don't act like there's no sandwich in the White House." Laughter erupted. It was as if someone had changed the atmosphere of the room. People relaxed. A young man in the back row said, "Then I want the same sandwich as Trump." Trump took his order, headed to the counter. Then he stopped short. He turned to the cashier. "I'm paying for everyone in this row." The cashier froze. "Sir, are you sure? This is lunchtime. There are about 28 people in here right now." Trump shook his head slightly. "There's only one thing more valuable than money, kindness, and everyone in this store should have a good day today." There was silence from the crowd, then a huge roar. Someone shouted, "Really?" Another, "No way." Then applause. And one of them, an old man, stepped forward with his cane. He took off his glasses and looked at Trump. "I used to criticize you all the time, but right now I want to hug you." Trump hugged the man without hesitation. "I understand you too. It's okay to think differently. The important thing is to be nice to each other." Dear viewers, if you also felt warm inside while reading this story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, because real stories start with a sandwich but end in people's hearts. Trump sat at one of the tables. 3 more people sat next to him. The owner of the Deli, Manny, came with a cup of tea in his hand. "You were last here in 1987. You wanted to buy this building." Trump winked. "Yes, but right now all I want is some peace and some mustard." The laughter spread again. The Deli had transformed from a political figure's arrival to a neighborhood filled with laughter. A small child pulled his mother's skirt at the door. "Mom, why is everyone applauding Trump?" The woman leaned over. "Because he didn't just buy food today, he made people smile." As he left, Trump handed her a $100 bill from his jacket pocket as a tip, but he had attached a small note. "Free sandwiches, but smiles are mandatory." And as he opened the door, he paused, turned to the crowd and said, "Remember, when politics is silent, humanity speaks." The Deli's interior was no longer a food and drink spot, but a small social peace tent. People were surprised that Trump not only ordered sandwiches, but also that he sat down and listened to their stories. Because that day, Trump was not the polemicist on TV screens. He was someone sitting in the middle of the shop with his knees on the table like an ordinary man. A half sandwich was cooling in front of Trump. Javier, the young waiter next to him, was talking excitedly. "Mr. Trump, my mother never liked you, but I just called and said, 'Mom, Trump talked to me.'" Trump raised his eyebrows. "Call your mother. Give me the phone." Javier's hands shook. He dialed. "Hello, Mom?" Trump picked up the phone. "Hello, Mrs. Rodriguez. Your son is doing a great job here. You're obviously taking good care of him. I congratulate you." A scream on the other end of the phone, then a voice full of sobs. "You came to my son's workplace and made me proud of him. Thank you." Trump returned the phone. Javier's eyes filled with tears. "I think my mother will love me again now," he laughed. Trump touched his shoulder. "And I am winning the hearts of mothers again." Dear viewers, sometimes a sandwich shop can be like a therapy room for a nation. If this story touched you too, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because we are not just talking about leaders here, we are talking about people. The atmosphere in the deli had reached an uncontrollable heat. In one corner, an old Vietnam veteran was talking to Trump about the old days. "I grew up in delis too," the man said, "but I have never experienced such a warm moment as today." Trump sighed slightly when he saw the purple marks on his arm. "What you experience is the basis of our jokes today." The man bowed his head. "Thank you, President, but I am most grateful for this. My grandson will not see me on TV today. He will come to hug me." Trump looked out the window of the deli. Dozens of people were gathered there now. Some wanted to go inside just to see this moment, while others were smiling from the window. A child was holding a poster, "Uncle Trump equals sandwich plus hug." Trump sighed. Then he shouted inside, "Everyone's drink is on me today, but the lemonades are cold, the hearts are warm." Laughter spread again. There was an invisible note in the air. There was no music playing, no speech, but everyone's face seemed to carry the melody of the same song. "There is goodness today." Cashier Tina approached Trump. "Mr. President, we were all so stressed in this country, but you came here and made everything easier with such a small thing." Trump looked into her eyes. "Tina, sometimes the biggest burdens are forgotten in the smallest places." Manny was still surprised. He had seen countless celebrities as a shop owner, but today's crowd was impressed not by Trump's money, but by his attitude. "Mr. Trump," he said, "if you ever come, really buy this store, but I have one condition. The name will not change. It will always be Manny's." Trump laughed heartily. "I promise, but I will add this note below. Humanity begins with toast here." At that moment, an old woman approached in her wheelchair. The crowd made way. The woman extended her hand to Trump. "My name is Ruth. I only came here today for a sandwich, but I bought a memory." Trump took her hand. "And I only ordered food today, but I fed my soul a good deed." Dear viewers, what is being told in this story is not just a gesture, it is an echo. If you also felt the spirit of this little story, write in the comments, who did you do a good deed for today? Before leaving Manny's that day, Trump wrote a note on the wall. In black marker, on the wall next to the entrance, "Everything has its price, but some things are only given with the heart." Sandwich, $14.99. Smile, infinite. The crowd applauded him. But that applause was not for a politician's farewell, but for a man who reminded humanity that day. And as Trump walked out the door, he looked at the reflection in the glass. He saw himself as he had been in 1983, younger, more ambitious. But that quiet man today had perhaps rediscovered the child he had forgotten for years. The outside of Manny's Deli was no longer just a business entrance, but a mini celebration area. People on the street were applauding Trump, recording him with their cell phones, and children were watching through the windows. But something had happened inside, something quiet but effective. People were looking at each other more warmly. The man in line was saying to the one behind him, "You go first." An old woman was putting extra money into the young man's tip bowl. The small spark Trump had started had lit up the deli spirit. But Trump was still sitting in his chair inside. He hadn't finished his sandwich. Because for him, it wasn't the food that was important today, it was the faces. The door opened again. A middle-aged woman walked in. Her eyes were slightly red. "Am I late?" she whispered. Manny approached. "Here you are, ma'am?" The woman looked up. "I never liked Trump on TV, but today when my mom came to this deli, she texted me. She said, 'My son loves you, I forgive you.' We hadn't spoken in 6 months. This text came after he came here and met Trump." Trump intervened. He approached the woman. "What's your name?" "Claire." Trump bowed his head. "Claire? Sometimes life is about a sandwich. I learned that today." Claire laughed. "I learned that too, Mr. Trump. People can change. So do I." Dear viewers, if you find yourself in this story, please subscribe. Because this is not just the behavior of a politician, it is a small echo of the goodness that exists in all of our hearts. And this channel exists to magnify those echoes. When Trump headed for the door, the crowd waiting at the entrance of the deli fell silent. A young man was filming with his phone, but his eyes were full of tears more than the screen. He had obviously become a part of this story. As he was walking out the door, a little girl ran up to Trump. She was holding a heart-shaped bracelet made with a red straw. "This is for you," she said, "because you fixed everyone's heart today." Trump bowed. His eyes were slightly misty. "And you made me feel like a real person today." The crowd applauded silently. It wasn't a rally applause. It was a thank you. Before Trump got in the car, he turned to Manny. "You know what, Manny? I've known Manhattan for years, but it turns out I left your soul here." Manny just nodded. "And today you took it back, Mr. President." Once in the car, Trump put the small heart bracelet in the inside pocket of his jacket. Then he pulled out a thick notebook. On the front page, he wrote, "I learned from a crazy person. Winning people is more important than winning elections." The driver started the engine, but Trump suddenly rolled down the rear window. He turned outside. He looked out at the crowd. "I didn't just pay for your meal today. I also took back my faith in you." The crowd applauded. One of them shouted, "Hey, Trump! Will you come back someday?" Trump winked. Everything has a price, but smiles are still free at Manny's. And the car drove away. But Trump's presence wasn't the only thing left at the deli's door at that moment. The message written on the walls was engraved in people's hearts. "A kindness is small, but its echo lasts for years." Dear viewers, after reading this story, leave a kindness to those around you, give someone else a priority in the queue, be a silent supporter of someone, or just smile. Because maybe one day someone will accidentally visit your heart. Write in the comments, what did you do well today? And remember, the sandwich is gone, but the good people stay.